live event. Do not panic. We have help today. Today's broadcast is going to show you how to create a digital event as a backup plan around this whole coronavirus epidemic. We'll be right back. All of that, all the details right after this.
I'm feeling good right now, and I'm feeling good right now. I'm on top of the world. I'm feeling good right now, and I'm feeling good right now.
So it seems like the coronavirus is the only thing everyone is talking about right now. And just as everything has been affected by the coronavirus, like if you are, I don't know where you are in the world, but I know in San Antonio, they have shut down any events that are groups that are bigger than 50 people in one place. Looks like let me just make sure everything's going okay on the recording. But they've shut down everything. And so to that event, like all kinds of events have been affected by this. Huge conferences, concerts, even Fiesta here in San Antonio has been postponed until November. And so if you are a coach, speaker, author, trainer, or someone who hosts different workshops and digital events, then you're probably kind of freaking out and wondering, am I going to have to refund all of these tickets that we have sold for our upcoming event? If that's you today, then I don't want you to panic. This episode is for you because today we are going to teach you how to create a digital event as a backup plan, your own personal coronavirus backup plan. And to help me have today's conversation, we have the one and only StreamYard expert. Well, I guess he's not the only StreamYard expert, but he is today. He's the only one we got. He's the best we got. And him to you guys just for a moment. So a little bit about our friend today, Ross Brand. Guys, if you don't know him, then you're in the right episode. You definitely want to make sure that you stay tuned and plugged in because Ross Brand is a live streamer who has served in many capacities, such as red carpet host for the Emmy award-winning Never Settle show. He's produced by AI Roker Entertainment. He's an ambassador for Wirecast and an on-camera host for multiple Facebook Live and video, LinkedIn Live developers, and broadcast solutions, including StreamYard. He was selected as the 5 live video experts to follow by Switcher and the #1 Twitter account for learning live stream marketing. He's been known as the top 25 video marketing influencers. Guys, you don't want to miss today's episode, and we have our special guest. Ross, are you in the house?
I am. Thank
you. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm just checking in on let me just check in on our stream real quick. Guys, if you guys can hear us and see us okay, just let us know in the comment section. Hey, Kimberly, I can hear you and see you just fine, because it looks like we're dropping some frames here, but I just want to be certain. So, Ross, everybody's in panic mode around the coronavirus situation, like as it pertains to their live events. Like all kinds of live events have been shut down, like concerts. We're talking churches, even churches right now. If you're a church over the, the group, the limit of 50, you can't have service right now. So a lot of people are panicking around this because they don't know how long it's going to last, and they don't have a backup plan for what they're going to do next. So talk to us a little bit. And we're going to be talking, I know you're going to help us figure this whole thing out about hosting your own digital event as your coronavirus backup plan. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, can you give the audience just a little bit of insight to your background in live stream and tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Sure. So I worked in live radio on air for 12 years. And then I went and I did something else. And before I knew it, I stumbled into a platform called Blab, discovered live streaming, felt like this was like talk radio, except with webcams. I felt right at home with it, fell in love with broadcasting again. And so over the last 5 years, I've been live streaming a whole lot. I've worked with a lot of different brands that do live streaming or that want to use it on behalf of their business. And most recently, I'm hosting shows with StreamYard. And I also just started a daily show on Twitch with Michael Kinney, and we're calling it Podstream Live. It's a podcast, it's a live stream, but every day at 2 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, we talk about what's going on in the world of online video and audio and content creation, and what's happening with different platforms and strategies and tactics that people are using to create content in this time where creating content is everything, because we can't get together in person necessarily. You mentioned 50 people limit. I've heard in some places now 10, not more than 10 people can get together for a social gathering.
Wow. And so we're feeling a little isolated in our homes and in our the places of business. A lot of businesses are opting to allow their employees to work from home. I know that just a lot of people are affected. Kids are out of school. Like, you can't find, care for them. Like, a lot of people are starting to panic. And so for a lot of people who, their business, they're in the business of live events, like, they're panicking. So what can we do, Ross, to really help us to, for some of us, the show has to go on, virus or no virus, the show must go on.
Right.
And so with that, I want to kind of talk through these 3 different sides of planning and promoting your live stream platform. And so first, around deciding on a platform, can you tell the audience what kinds of digital events can actually be live streamed as a digital event?
So most digital events consist of speakers, they consist of panels, and they consist of meetings and breakout sessions. And there's no reason why you can't put that together and do that online.
Right.
There are several different live streaming platforms, webinar platforms, conferencing platforms that you can use to deliver that material, whether you deliver it live in terms of actually creating it live in the moment, like live speakers and live Q&As, or whether you record it and then perhaps stream it as though it's live with a host coming in between video segments. So there's really 2 ways to do it. One is you can do an 8-hour live extravaganza day and just have one person, one guest, or one speaker or panel come in, every hour or 45 minutes, whatever you would do in person, you can basically recreate in these situations. And again, the other way would be to pre-record some of the sessions so that if you are the on-camera host, it's a little bit less pressure, and people who may have to work during that time, or they may not be available, you can record some sessions and you could have a mix of pre-recorded and live. But ultimately, I've been part of them online where people have done full day or multiple day events, and every speaker, every guest has been live, every session has been live, and it can work. It can definitely work. We have the technology now.
So let's talk a little bit around that, the technology. Like, what kinds of live stream platforms do we have to choose from? Like, what kind of live stream platforms are really popular right now for, creating a digital event? And we talked about, like, guys, you can do, just really quickly, you can do your live stream events for all kinds of things. Like you mentioned conferences, summits, workshops, like all of these different things, church concerts, you can do like church service, you can do like whatever it is that is a live event, you can live stream. And so it really boils down to strategy and understanding how can we create an experience through our live stream platform that works for, as a replacement, a temporary replacement maybe for your live event. So these are the kinds of, things that can happen with your live stream, but what platforms can we use? We right now there's like a ton of them. We have, what are some of the popular ones to use?
Well, I've used or been part of ones that have used StreamYard, where they've gone all live. The International Podcast Day event turned out to be a 2-day event that they did all on StreamYard, and they had different podcast hosts come in throughout the day and do content conduct interviews, sort of do a version of their podcast, talk about issues. They had panels arranged because you can have up to 6 people on camera at once with StreamYard. And it's very easy to bring in guests with StreamYard. You just give them a link, nothing to download. Full disclosure, I work with StreamYard. I host shows for StreamYard, but it is a platform that is good quality and makes it very easy to bring in people and bring in guests quickly, get them on board, because there's a lot of turnover, obviously, that you go through. You can play video clips, you can share your screen, you can do more teaching type events, you could do a virtual classroom kind of situation. Another platform that, if it's a more casual kind of meetup or meeting situation, you might want to use is something like Zoom would be a good one, because you can have a lot of people and you can have people sharing their ideas. And that could also be streamed if you want to. You could stream that to Facebook or YouTube. So I would say those are 2 to definitely consider. Wirecast, which we're using now, is a very professional platform. If you have a team that was going to work on your broadcast, you were perhaps planning on live streaming your live event, well, then Wirecast is a terrific resource to produce it with, if you have the team that can be onboarding people before they come on and cropping the shots and everything, and you have the time to really brand the show the way you want to, as you do with your shows, where you have lower thirds that are very unique for your broadcast. And, so it's a powerful platform, Wirecast. I would certainly consider using that as well. So those are 3 options.
It's more an advanced platform, so I get what you're saying with that. Like, but if you're trying to get it branded, obviously you can give us a call, and we can do that for you. But there's all of these different platforms. So we have like Be Live and and I'm not going to get really into a lot of the different platforms. I think you've made a strong recommendation with the ones that you've given so far. But what I do want to talk about is how we make a decision out of the platforms that we've talked about. How do we decide which platform is right for us? Like, what kind of decision process should we go through?
If you have a lot of speakers and a lot of guests, and you need something where you can get that guest on easily and quickly, particularly if one person or maybe one person with an assistant is running the show, I think StreamYard is ideal. If you have the skill set and you have a team that you can work with, then Wirecast is definitely worth considering. And if you're doing more of a casual meetup or a classroom type situation, there are certain instances where I would think that Zoom would be a very good platform to use, because you can have so many different people in the quote unquote meeting at one time, still live stream it.
Right. And so one of the other important things that you want to think about, you guys, when you are creating your digital event, is the overall experience that you want the person to have. Now, this is going to come into play more specifically when you're talking about paid events, right? And if a person has already paid to come to your live event, and, now you're having to use a live stream backup, you want to make sure that the overall presentation is something that is worthy of the investment they paid for in the first place, right? So in those in situations like that, I would recommend having a remote producer or somebody to help you kind of fill out and really fill out the branding side of your broadcast and really make it something that is unique and professional. But let's talk about what makes a professional looking live stream happen. Like, what is the difference between I'll say an amateur live stream broadcast to a more professional broadcast? What are your thoughts, Ross?
Well, you can do a professional looking broadcast with your phone, where if you set up your cameras and you use something like Switcher Studio, you could actually produce a very professional looking mobile broadcast. But most people, when they use their phone, are doing something very casual. It's grab the phone, walk and talk, tell a story, share something very personal, or promote something coming up later, take somebody behind the scenes. If you're doing an event that's entirely virtual, I would encourage my guests, for the most part, to join if they could on a computer or laptop, to have a webcam or a DSLR and a microphone, and really have what they need to present themselves visually and audio, and their audio in a really professional, clear manner, so that they're very present, and the people who are paying for the event, or who are, if it's a free event, have devoted their time to it, are able to most out of it, and really it's a good listening and viewing experience. So anything that professionalizes the experience is going to make for a better, happier audience for a conference.
Yeah. So you said, essentially, like, you need strong video quality, right? You talked about the audio a little bit, to really help, create that. The difference between good and great when it comes to live stream, you guys, is really in the details of a thing. So, the difference can be that camera, it can be that audio, it can be, the overlays and the broadcast branding that you, those things really elevate the overall experience of your digital event. And so I love that you said that. Within that process, like, I really kind of want to talk through, what are some things that we should do, like, in the planning and the preparation of a live stream digital, like going digital with our live events?
You have to think about, first of all, putting your lineup together, who you're going to have, what your sessions are going to be about, and think about why each stage is there, what that has to offer the audience. It's not just about promoting the speaker, but it's about promoting what the benefit is to the audience. Now, on the streaming side, you think about that as you're creating your graphics and you're creating some of your branding, and as you promote online. So you're promoting a session that's about marketing, and you're talking about what the benefit is to the people who are going to be there for that session, for the event as a whole, but also for the different sessions that you choose to promote, to highlight the value that comes out of the event. So that's a big thing, and that should also kind of direct where your conversation's going, what you're going to ask the person if you're hosting, or what they're going to prepare. So the more aligned you can be with the guest and the topic and where the content's going, the better your marketing and promotion will be beforehand, and even a better idea ahead of time you'll have as far as promoting afterwards, what type of clips you're going to want to cut and share on social media. So there's a whole kind of thought process that goes through an event that, while it might be similar to a show, it's more important to get it right, because there's more at stake, because there's all these pieces that have to fit together and work together and create an experience for people who may well be paying for it, or if not, like I said, have committed a significant amount of time to following along, on their computer.
Yeah, absolutely. So within that preparation process, you talk about, like, basically what you're talking about is a digital event outline, right? So that people can. Am I freezing up here? Sorry. So that people can be aware of what to expect within that broadcast. So if you have a lineup of speakers, you have different topics, you have different things that you want to share, you're talking about creating a very specific digital event outline for what happens next. Is that right?
That's right. You can leave some leeway of where you want to go with the conversation, as a lot of events are done Q&A style. So you'll have a host, and they'll have each of the speakers and ask them questions. If it's a presentation, and the speaker may have some slides or some videos that they're playing, but basically they're taking over for the 40 minutes or however long it is, then that's going to be more scripted, and that's going to be, they should be sending you their materials ahead of time, and you're able to prepare all the elements ahead of time that match up. If it's a Q&A, then you leave a little space for follow up and where this goes that's interesting or a point. You may even be watching the chat so that you can bring in some questions and some Q&A. So there's you want to leave yourself a little bit more freedom. You don't want to just be reading a script of questions, but at the same time, you have to know where it goes. So there's a lot of subtlety in your preparation. You prepare enough that you are able to handle every moment of it, but you know that, hey, it might just be that you give me an answer that's so good, that's so rich, that like the best thing to do is follow up on that.
Yes,
to take
absolutely.
that, let that become, the next 10 minutes of the conversation.
Right.
Maybe we don't get to something that we plan to talk about, but that's where the value is. And that's the beauty of live streaming and these broadcasting conversations that we have, where you can just take over and direct it where it's most interesting to go when you're hosting with a speaker or a guest in that type of format.
I love that. So, plan and prepare, right? Like have your outline ready, but be prepared essentially is what you're saying, to go off script if necessary.
Right.
Like if it gets, if the content and the value is rich in this area, don't be afraid to get off script, right?
Right.
So that's really great.
I do want to say that I think I'm somebody who, for most of my shows, I know who I'm having on and why I'm having them on, and I have some few ideas I want to talk about.
Right.
I don't really script anything. I don't script questions or anything.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, like, if I were hosting a live event, like where it's multiple speakers, a conference, you have to do more. You have to be very tight with things because you want to stay on schedule. You want to get the value. So you do have to prepare, but just give yourself the freedom of stepping back from what you prepared and letting that magic happen when something comes along that's really working for your event and your audience.
I love that. So within this process, you kind of talked to us a little bit about, our digital event being all the way live, but you also kind of mentioned the possibility of pre-recorded content, right? Is that what you're saying? Like if I'm hosting an event and I have a group of speakers and they're all from everywhere, and I want each of them to do their own little session, right? Within the conference or the summit or whatever, the workshop, then you're saying that I can have pre-recorded content, bring in pre-recorded content and stream it as live within a live? Is that correct?
I think so. I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. You check the terms of service of each of the platforms. They may be different. I wouldn't necessarily do that on LinkedIn if you have access to LinkedIn, because they're very strict about not wanting pre-recorded content. But if you're doing an 8-hour day of speakers and topics and so forth on a platform like Facebook, I see nothing wrong with, in between sessions, you dropping in a video. It could be a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video, so that you may want to just keep it live the whole time rather than starting a new broadcast. If people are there and they're engaged and you have a great number of viewers, why stop and restart? If you need a break or you have a time between speakers, why not have some pre-recorded pieces, or even have some of your speakers who may need to work from home? Maybe they were planning on taking time off and flying to that in-person event, but now that the event isn't on, they're committed to working that day. And you just go ahead and record with them ahead of time, just like it was the live show, and you put the same graphics on and everything else. But I think it's a lot of work hosting, a live event all day if you're the solo host of it. And if you have pre-recorded segments you can put in to give yourself a break and get the next person ready and so forth, I think it's great. I have no problem with it at all, and I don't think the audience really cares, because they're getting it for the first time either way. Absolutely. And they're able to chat with one another and have the full experience.
And if you guys, one of the things that I want to encourage you to think about is that if you have just one live host, that's hosting the event, they're the MC essentially of the event, and they are taking people and walking people through the process of this different sessions and the different things that are going on. Yes, those sessions can be pre-recorded, but you can have us us talking live right now. We're having a conversation, and you may even just have them live for the Q&A part, right? But you can go back and say, hey guys, up next we have, Ross, who's going to be telling us about how to stream a digital event, that right after this, right? And then we can move to his video where he did an entire 20-minute session talking about, or 40-minute whatever session, talking just about the details of that thing. And then afterwards, you can have them pop in and say, just for the Q&A. So you get that live engagement going with your audience, and they don't miss out on really being able to get their questions answered, really being able to make the most of the information that they're getting. And they just, they want to be able to say, hey, what's going on? Hey, Kimberly, like some of you guys are doing in the audience. And so with that, I just want to say, thank you guys, Michael for watching, Monty for watching, Jarrell, Shadu for watching. You guys, we see you out there. Make sure that you do put your comments in the comment section. If you have a question about how to host your own digital event for my friend here. Why do I always do that? We always do that, like it's the wrong side. But anyways, if you have a question about it, make sure that you go ahead and put it in the comment section, and we will ask him some of these really, really great questions. So within that process, so we talked a little bit about like some of the platforms that we can use, how we can plan, and like, let's talk a little bit about promotion now. Mm-hmm. Like, how can I, as a business owner or as a live event host, moving my live events into this digital space, how do I begin to promote those events using these live stream platforms, using the platforms that we talked about, maybe StreamYard? Like, do they have a scheduling thing that where people can kind of see we have an upcoming live stream? Like, how do I promote it?
Yeah, you can schedule the event streams, whether you're doing it all as one long stream or you're doing several, say you're doing 3-hour blocks, or you're doing it over several days. You can schedule all those streams ahead of time with platforms like StreamYard. And then particularly your scheduling is going to happen on Facebook. It's going to happen on YouTube, and it's going to happen on Twitch. If you go to Twitch, Periscope, and LinkedIn Live, there's no scheduling for, you just go live. You schedule it, but basically you're just scheduling that you're going to go live. But on Facebook in particular, and also on YouTube and Twitch, you can actually give out the link. So if you're tweeting about the event, or you're posting on Instagram about the event, you can actually put that specific link to the live stream sessions right in your social post. And so people can click on that. And if it's on Facebook, they can get a reminder. On YouTube, they can get a reminder. Twitch, if you're using one channel, it's always going to be the same web address. And that's a great way to let people know. And then you can also use that link if you do email marketing. You can email the link, because it's one thing to say, watch on such and such Facebook page, but it's another thing to just ping people and say, here is the link. Thanks for signing up. And, we're going live tomorrow at this time. And then, you follow up with an email. We're going live in 5 minutes. Here's the link to watch all the content. And you can do that very effectively through email marketing, social posts, and even going live before you go live, right? You can do live streams leading up to it. You can have the speakers on. And you don't obviously do the whole presentation, but you talk, you tease a little bit what's coming up. You shout out to some of the people who are watching. That's the kind of live stream where you might want to get the audience very involved, get them excited, find out what they want to hear about and learn about. So, live streaming plays a big part even in promoting live streaming.
Absolutely. Like live stream, promoting your own live stream with your live stream platform. So with that, I think one of the highlights is that those scheduling those posts and providing those links can be used in your email marketing, in your text message marketing, guys. And once they click those links, they will get reminders. And I think that is the important part that you need to understand. If you are having a digital event, people get lost, like, when it comes to their calendars and their schedules. Like, they're doing a lot throughout the day. And if you want people to attend your digital event, you have to remind them about it, as many times as you can, to make sure that they are plugged in, stay plugged in. And so this is an easy way to let you do that. So live stream platforms, like Wirecast, StreamYard, they have scheduling features in there where you can schedule the live stream, grab the link, use that link to promote that live stream, and then send reminders to that audience. I think that's important to note. It's important for you guys to know that this is something that you can do, but it will really help you get a really great jump start in helping you to plan and really promote your live event coming up. So this, again, guys, this conversation is for you. If you are thinking about, how you're going to continue, the show must go on, right? Your live event, workshops, digital events, church services, maybe, like whatever it is that you're doing that's a live event. You had a concert coming up, something got canceled, and now you're trying to figure out how you're going to leverage that live event into a digital event. This conversation is for you. So really quickly, I kind of want to talk about, we talked about like some planning things that we can do in the way of like, just making sure that we have that event outline going. We talked about using the platform to really promote some of your events that are coming up. But what are some deadly mistakes? Like this, we all know that like we can all have a great plan, Ross, but when it comes to actually getting these plans off the ground and it working seamlessly in our favor, a lot can go wrong really fast. What are some of the deadliest mistakes that people make when trying to host a digital event using live stream?
Right. Well, we've all made them at different times, and so I'm not certainly only can be picking on myself, thinking back on things that I've done. But number one, you got to do a little bit of a dress rehearsal. That doesn't mean you need all your speakers and guests to be on, but you got to test out the technology and put your overlays in and your lower thirds and look at the shots and give out a guest link and check to make sure everything's working, do a test recording, play it back, make sure your audio's good, your video's good, your lighting's right. Make sure everything is in place, because guaranteed on the day that the event happens, there'll be some pressure or something that comes up last minute, or somebody needs to reschedule or whatever. So have everything practiced, have everything ready so that it's like muscle memory when you need to just go live, and also have backup plans. What would I do if this guest forgets to show up, or this guest gets sick, or this speaker can't make it because they have something else that came up, or they forgot, or whatever. With a virtual event, you're taking some risks that you might not be taking if you're doing it live with an event where you can get a sense ahead of time. Everybody's there. Everybody knows where to go. So be prepared. What am I going to do to fill? It could be having a pre-recorded video ready to go if a session doesn't take place. It could be just saying, hey, I'm comfortable just making conversation with the audience, or I have an area of expertise I could share if there's time to fill. But know what you would do when things are either ahead of schedule or behind schedule, or somebody doesn't show up. The last thing you want to do is be staring into the camera thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? You said you were going to be on. You said you're going to be on from 9 to 3, then be on from 9 to 3 and find some way to fill that time and still show up for the people that showed up for you.
I love that.
So that would be my main, that would be my like overwhelming thing, is just be over prepared, have something ready for everything so that you know what to do. The other thing is to communicate with the people who are going to be on. Let them know what time they're going to be on. Let them know the link to share for people to watch the broadcast. Let them know what your expectations are. We'd like you to have a microphone and a webcam. Don't, wear headphones, wear earbuds, whatever. If there's certain background you want them to, whatever it is that's going to make that presentation smooth and make it branded in a way that, like, whether you tune in at 9 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, you're watching Kimberly's broadcast, Kimberly's production and event. And that means, even unifying the slide graphics that people use, give everybody the same background, maybe.
Yeah.
Those elements are repeatable elements that people will notice and remember going forward.
Absolutely. So branding, does take it matters when it comes to the broadcast. It matters, you guys. So a lot of people don't consider the branding of your broadcast. Like, I think that is something very, very important, because like you said, you want people, and this is just, if you were doing your own online show. Oh, looks like I'm frozen here. If you are doing your own online show, then the branding of that broadcast becomes really important. And it's just something that you guys can do just with a little bit of help and a little bit of preparation, I think will, turn your broadcast from good to great. And if you have other questions about how to do that, this is why you have platforms like this one, is why you have people like Ross and myself to kind of walk you through some of these, do's and don'ts within this process. So I think one of the biggest takeaways that you said was like, one of the most common mistakes that people make is that they are unprepared for their broadcast, right? They're unprepared for what could go wrong. They're unprepared for, they haven't made contingencies for just, people getting sick, people not showing up, videos not being submitted. Like, what is your contingency plan if something goes wrong? And so those are things that you want to think through. So let's kind of like do a little bit of a summary here on, deciding what platform. Ross gave you some really great ideas around what platforms would be good, StreamYard, really, you said mainly StreamYard. I think you mentioned Zoom a little bit. You didn't go into like some of the other ones, but there are a lot to go on. But I always suggest that you go with the experts.
I think conferences with a lot of speakers and guests, and you don't have a huge team. StreamYard's the one. If you're holding sort of a meetup, a social meetup, or a social course kind of situation, you may want to look at Zoom. If you have a production team and you have an expectation of a certain high level of production, and you need very unique branding to make your broadcast look nothing like anything else, then Wirecast would be the choice for you. And if you're going to produce it with mobile, I would look at Switcher Studio is a good choice for mobile.
Wonderful. So guys, if you are out there, and we kind of talked through like these platforms, what you can use, how you can do this. And if you are thinking about like, man, that sounds like a lot of work. If that's you, then you're in the right place, because Remote Producer Live will help you, like we'll walk you through this entire process, and we produce your live stream. So it looks like something similar like this. So if you don't think you have the time to master all of the things we're talking about, guys, then make sure that you, in the comment section, just say produce me, and we'll have somebody in there ready to talk to you about your specific live event. Ross, tell us a little bit about where our audience can find you and where they can connect with you if they need to learn more about these different platforms and how to use them for their upcoming digital events.
So every other Wednesday, which will be the upcoming Wednesday, next week on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I go live with StreamYard Connect. You can watch that on the StreamYard Facebook page, and it's also on multiple other platforms. And then every other day that I'm not doing StreamYard Connect at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm live on Twitch, taking questions and talking about subjects in the news, subjects related to live video and podcasting and content creation, along with Michael Kinney joins me, and we do that live every day Wednesday. So it's StreamYard Connect, and it is Podstream Live is the new show that I'm doing with Michael Kinney, and we'd love you to drop by and bring any questions that you have about content creation, video creation, live streaming, podcasting. And of course, you can reach out to me on Facebook. Livestream Universe is the Facebook page, but go ahead, reach out to me on my personal profile is fine, or find me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Ross Ross Brand and connect with me there, and or Twitter or Instagram or any other social
Wherever there is
platform.
social media,
Yeah.
Ross Brand will be there, you guys. So make sure that you connect with him. And he's such a wealth of knowledge. Like I love watching your videos and things because you're such a wealth of knowledge on all of these different platforms. And you really give people a lot of different options about how to do, you know, even just one thing. Like there's a lot of different options. There's more than one way to skin a cat, you guys, as they say. And so I love that you give, you know, some just clear guidelines about how to do some of those things, guys. So if you're watching today, I hope that you found this episode helpful. I hope that you have thought through like, wow, I don't have to panic. I can actually go live with my digital event. And if you're needing some help with that process, guys, make sure that you put in the comment section, produce me, you know, and then we'll reach out to you and help walk you through some of these processes. You want to make sure that you connect with Ross Brand over on all the different platforms that he's talked about too, because he's such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this whole digital space and digital live streaming events and things like that. And so, guys, until next time, I think that's all that we have. But I want to, Ross, before we even leave, like if our audience, and I ask this all the time, if our audience gets nothing else from any of all of the wealth of knowledge that they should have gotten from today's episode, what is the one thing they absolutely need to know and begin to apply right now to be successful creating or hosting their digital event?
Just do it. Just plan the event and then follow through, prepare all the things we should do for our 1 hour live stream or our half an hour live stream that would be good to do, would be good to be a little extra prepared that we don't do. You have to do when you're doing an 8 hour, a 6 hour, a 4 hour live stream with multiple guests. And you got to have everything lined up, ready to go, prepared. But if you do that, you can have as great an experience online as you can in person. This is the closest thing to being together and talking in person. And if it's all we have right now, go ahead, get online, have your event, have your meetup, have your meeting, have your community get together and have the conversations you want to have and deliver the value that you would have delivered at an in-person event. It can be done. The tools aren't that difficult to master, and you can do really an excellent production. And like Kimberly said, there's people that are here to help you with it as well to make it work really well. And thanks so much for having me on. I feel like I was on national TV, the way you produced these videos, and it's just beautiful, the production that you put into your
internet, though. Like every broadcast is national, right?
right.
People are watching us from literally all over the world. So this is really amazing. And you have been just such an amazing wealth of knowledge as it pertains to this topic. And so we definitely want to make sure that we have you on again. Guys, you heard it from Ross Brand himself. The number one takeaway when it comes to hosting your digital event is just do it. Just prepare, ask the right questions, be willing to ask the right questions, and just do it. So you don't have to panic, guys. Your live events can go digital using some of the strategies that you found here today. Listen, you're going to be more effective at producing the result that you want in your life and in your business just by watching this channel and applying what you learn. Be a person who is willing to apply, and you will move further faster in your life and business. Ross, thank you so much for being on today's broadcast. We absolutely